So this is the chook yard. Originally there was no plants here at all, so everything you see has been planted by me over the years. And so let's just go and have a look. So this is like the outer area which they roam in the day. So that's that Araucana. That's the most recent addition that lays the blue eggs. So let's let them out, because while I'm here they're allowed to actually come out and completely roam, so they can go around the whole property, which they enjoy doing. So within here, this inner pen, if you'd like to call it, everything here has been planted mainly for shade for the chickens, because I've learnt over the years that sun in the summer and the heat just, used to kill a lot of chooks, and shade cloth is good, but plants are definitely the ultimate shade producer. And also, if they're pretty, that adds something for me to look at, and the bees and the birds absolutely love all the plants. So got the bottle brush flowering at the moment. Now, obviously they do well, and bougainvilleas, they obviously do well. I've got Hakea trifurcata there, which is starting to lean over. I've got olive trees that have gone out of control. We'll have to trim them. So the elder, so that was planted probably about 7 years ago from a sucker. I just shoved it in and it took. The only thing that was originally here was this red bougainvillea. So that was a tiny plant, and so everything is on irrigation around the edge to encourage a quick growth, because I wanted it for shade. So that's the pool fence. So there was another elder that I planted. This one took a little bit longer to get going because it's on the north side, just got hammered by the sun. Another bottle brush, and then this was fairly recent, about 5 years ago, I put in these Melaleuca vimineers. So again, thinking, because this is the west side, that for shade, and been brilliant. You can trim them, they flower well, they don't smell too good, but it's definitely aromatic. And then a few years back I put in this white mulberry in this kind of outer pen that one day might become an inner pen, but at the moment it is an outer pen, so it was for shade. I did grow vegetables around as well, but I've sort of given up because everything's taken over. But so the chickens go in there. Obviously it's fruiting at the moment, they get extra fruit, all that leaf litter goes onto the floor, so I can grow stuff under there. It was quite productive, but probably not this year. So the idea, this is the newest idea, is I've planted a new white mulberry there this year, so that's only been in a couple of months. So if you look at that white mulberry there, this has been strategically planted on this southwest side to grow as big as that, to offer a bit of a buffer from the wind and the hot sun, especially during the summer, because obviously that's the house there, and there is shade cloth there as well, but I'm just trying to mitigate that sun and hot wind even more. And it is on irrigation, so it should start to have an influence probably next year. So all these trees were planted in 2011, so they're all natives. So salmon gums, York gums, there's casuarinas, there's a few shrubs. That was a learning curve to make sure you put more shrubs in at the time of planting trees, because once you've got your trees in, no chance, because just far too much competition. And then, so 2 years ago, I planted more Melaleuca vimineers, and I think there's Atroviridis in there as well. I think there is a little Hakea, maybe Franciana, can't remember. Terrible. But again, that's going to replicate that. So that's vimineer. That's mostly vimineer, so that should all grow up, and that is the back of the chook house on the west side. So that's going to help cool that house during the summer months. And then this is an attempt to try and get something to grow on this south side against the chook house. So I've put a Hardenbergia in there, so that's the Happy Wanderer. It's on irrigation. Hopefully it will establish enough before it gets too hot, because I've tried a couple of other things and they've died. So the Hardenbergia, because I've got another one in the garden that's very vigorous, thinking, okay, that's going to be the one that's going to do it. So I will shade it during the summer just to get it up. Behind that shade cloth there is the tap and hose, just trying to get the hose out of the sun a little bit, because it gets, the hose degrades because of all the sun. So the shade cloth all over the chook yard, the bougainvillea, the elder, they all help shade the chooks so they don't get so stressed in summer. Also putting the misting system in, which is now automated, which works well, especially if I go away for a few days. And then one of the other things I planted, which could possibly plant another one on the west side, is this old man saltbush, which is just one plant, but it is massive. So that's a good plant to grow here in this arid, awful in the summer environment, but all right in the winter. It's just the summer's 3 months. If you can get things through 3 months of the summer, you've done well. So I'm quite happy with the progress so far of this mulberry, because I know they're quite vigorous, because I've grown that one and that's only a few years old and it's massive. And the Melaleuca vimineer, because I've grown that in the past and it works really well as a shade plant. And then the Hardenbergia, I will continue monitoring that, and hopefully it will establish enough so when we do get into the midsummer heat it will keep going, but I will shade it because I know it's going to need a little bit of help for the next year or so. Yeah, that's a lot of observation over the years and changing how things were done to try and get the chooks to survive and produce eggs and not get sick. So yeah, more to follow.